5 years, so we have grown in this community together, I would say. And more than just for the school system, I think a lot of people, myself included, depend on him as a mentor and a leader in our community. And I'm just going to say we're all family here. I think he's taken a little beating in social media and in the news, and it's really unfortunate. I will say he has the best sense of humor of anyone I've ever met about these things. But for the business community perspective, I can say there's rarely an organization, a group that I've seen such amazing positive changes. We've always loved our school system. It's always been amazing. But I think we've reached heights that maybe no one ever even thought we could. And that does start at the top. We have a phenomenal school board, which we are so grateful for, and they hired a phenomenal leader to come in and really take our school system to the next level. I've talked to a lot of my colleagues during this time, as well as friends that are teachers throughout the state and in other states. And we really have handled it as a community and as a school system, I would say, better than 99% of the others. And I've heard lots of comments like, oh, y'all already had a plan for that? Or you already had one-to-one technology? People are shocked. I thought you were a small school system. I thought you lived in a small town. I do. We are in comparison to a lot of school systems, but we are so incredibly blessed by our leadership. I know there are lots of strong opinions about all the things going on. We all have them, and that's an amazing thing. We live in America, we're allowed to have them, but I don't think I can overstate from our position. We talked a little bit about this at our board meeting this morning, how grateful we are to Dr. Gibbs and our school board for the leadership that they have provided during this difficult time. We also all said there's not a person in here, I think I can speak for all of us, that would want his job right now. To be honest, but aren't we glad that someone does want that job and has stayed with us throughout all of this. So I want to say a deep gratitude and express the gratitude we have to you, Dr. Gibbs, and our school board, and one of our school board members is here with us today, Dr. Slayton, who has seen us through many storms, and I think this is the one, there's every cliche you could say in the book you could say about it, but none of us have experienced something like this in our lifetime. And so I'm extremely grateful that with our school system and all our local entities, we have such strong leaders who are willing to put the needs of our children first and do what everyone thinks is right. So I could tell you the list of his experience. I think we kind of all know it. We've seen it with our own eyes, but it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Gibbs, but first, it's his birthday. And I have to say, your wife is to blame because she might have given us a little heads up, but we do have a cake for you. So we heard carrot cake. She said you're an old man and you like old man flavors of cake. Also to celebrate his birthday, we do have cupcakes for everyone. So when you leave today, stop by the table and we'll have cupcakes for everyone. But if you all will join in, let's embarrass him as much as possible today. Let's go ahead and sing happy birthday. So who wants to start us off? I'm the singer. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dr. Gibbs. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you guys so much. And who don't love social media, right? And who don't love carrot cake? Come on. No, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys being here and giving me an opportunity to talk really about what I'm, outside of my family and my faith, what I'm most passionate about. And that's the work that we do here in the school system. And I got really three main things I want to talk about today. And I generally don't have a COVID-19 impact on education bullet, but I think it's probably timely that we talk a little bit about it because it is impacting not only our state and our workforce around the state, but it's impacting our kids, and it's impacting the way we serve our children. So we need to talk about it. So my plan is to get plenty of time for questions at the end. I'm going to give you a real-world example of how to make a mistake and hopefully recover from it. We did yesterday. So we make them every day, and let me first say, for those of you that do extend a little grace, thank you. We've never dealt with this before. And as we move through the next several weeks, months, and who knows how long, we are going to make some mistakes. We plan to learn from those mistakes. And our hope is that those won't be life-changing mistakes, but things that we can learn from and do better as we move forward. So we appreciate that very much. But a couple of quick things. Here's our school board. Without this group of people right here, nothing we do is possible. And I can tell you that there's about 70 years of collective board member experience sitting up on that board, and 33 years of them sitting right here. So we appreciate that. We had about 80 years, and Mr. Wade resigned to run for State House a few months ago, and our board chose Mr. Ingram to fill that spot until a special election can be held. Qualifying for that special election is underway until lunch tomorrow, and that board seat will be filled in November. And so we have welcomed Mr. Ingram. What an intelligent, caring human being he is, product of our school system, has children in our school system, and just a wonderful guy, doing a great job. Here's my leadership team, and I'm not going to go over each of those individually, but I got to tell you, I put them up against anybody in the business. We've got a lot of different moving pieces to our organization, and I put them up there more than anything because I think a lot of times when people talk about the school system, they just really think of a parent's mindset, and I'm a parent, so I'm going to use that a few times today, okay? As a parent, my view of what education does is what happens in my child's classroom. There's a lot of things that have to happen to make that actually a good experience. We've got to get them to school on the bus. We have to feed them when they get to school. We feed them twice a day now. And 25, 30 years ago, we didn't feed twice a day. So there's a lot that's happened. The technology piece that people take for granted should not be taken for granted. I have 5 people in a technology department that's providing one-to-one devices to 3,740 kids, and everything we do is electronic. We don't take attendance by paper anymore. We don't do anything by paper. Everything's electronic. So we got a lot of folks there. Our exceptional children's department, as you know, with the changes over the last 15 or 20 years with the autism spectrum, the needs for special education services across the spectrum have changed drastically. So our exceptional children's department is teaching very mildly, children with very mild needs up to extremely medically sensitive, fragile students, and everything in between. We also have to maintain our facilities. We have accountability. We have a ton of testing that we have to do that thankfully we're not doing right now. But assessment is not just state testing. We have to constantly assess our children. If you don't assess, you don't know whether what you taught was effective. You need to reteach some things. So we learn all of those things through an assessment platform. These are our school principals. We did have a leadership change this year. Ms. Stovall at the junior high retired last spring. And Mr. Brody Hughes was at Dawson County High School. And if you know Brody, he's a great guy. Grew up here, graduated Dawson County High School. But for some reason had this bright idea to have 3 children under the age of 5. And his life is obviously, and they're all boys and they're active. Chris knows that, how that goes. So he told me, he said, if there's any way I can continue to lead and have a little bit less responsibility in the evening time, I'd be willing to have that conversation. When Ms. Stovall retired, he took that opportunity to go to junior high, and he's leading there. And Ms. Michael Negley was assistant principal at the high school. We opened up a search for that position, had candidates from all over the Southeast, to be quite honest. And she was the best candidate for the job, and we asked the board to approve her to be principal, and she's doing a great job in that way. This is our layout. The number at the bottom is going to come into play a little bit more in a few minutes. We have about 523 employees. We are the largest employer in Dawson County. The outlet mall employs more people overall, but per business, we're the largest employer in the county. But I give you this information because I think it's just an interesting piece. When you think about our school system and the small number of kids that we have, 3,740 may sound like a lot to some, but I came from a district that had nearly 30,000. So the perspective is different. If you go down to Forsyth and 50, 60,000 kids, Gwinnett has 180,000 kids. 3,740 sounds like a really small number. But I give you these numbers. Our buses last year drove almost 650,000 miles, transported students to and from school, used almost 100,000 gallons of fuel, and we served almost 700,000 meals to our kids last year. When we shut down schools, we delivered meals to kids every single day throughout the school year, all across this county, driving hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles a day to do that, and we're very proud of being able to do that for our kids. Our demographics are pretty simple. That student enrollment number fluctuates. We have 30 kids in the pipeline right now coming in. Our enrollment's up about 3% this year, and we continue to see growth in Dawson County. The residential piece that you see, that brings children to our school system, so we continue to grow in that area. I won't read all these numbers to you. A really important number is that free reduced lunch rate. When I got here, it was 52%. It's down to around 43 or 45%. We'll modify that number in about a month when we get all of our current applications in. That's an important number because it starts talking about the level of poverty that we have in our county. So as we move into thinking more about how we serve kids and why we do some of the things we do, that population drives some of the decisions that I make, because when I start talking about serving all of our kids, you're going to hear me say this, I'm talking about all of our kids, not just some of our kids. We do a lot of safety. We've partnered with the Sheriff's Department in the county. We now have an SRO in every single school that we have in Dawson County, and that is a 50-50 cost split with the county. And I want to thank them for their commitment, because that is a huge financial commitment to provide SROs to our schools. And we do a lot of other things. I said many years ago when I got in this business, we would never lock the front doors of our schools. And now we lock the front doors of our schools. And we vet visitors to our buildings, because we're in a day and age where we don't have a choice. So all of that takes people to manage that environment and deal with the different things that we've got going on in our front offices. We also want to challenge our students. We have a lot of people from time to time say, you don't offer this class or you don't offer this class. And sometimes there are some things that some schools offer that we may not. We drive our offerings based on what our kids ask for. So we may not have an AP stat class first semester because we're having a second semester because only a certain number of kids wanted that course. And there are some classes that we may have only 2 or 3 kids want. And when we have that, so we get very creative in trying to provide everything our kids need, but trying to keep that at a realistic rate as well, because if we put a teacher in a class with 3 kids, there's a great cost to that. So we have to balance that cost as well. But one of the things we're very proud of is the fact that we offer both dual enrollment and advanced placement course opportunities for our kids. When we got here, we were predominantly advanced placement, and only a few select children were able to dual enroll. When we talk about free and reduced rate, we start talking about poverty and some impoverished families in our community. They're not impoverished intellectually. They are impoverished financially. So when we talk about barriers to opportunities, somebody that's impoverished may not have access to transportation to get themselves to a college to take a dual enrollment course. So we have partnered with Lanier Tech and the University of North Georgia and some other local universities to offer dual enrollment courses through our College and Career Academy, so that they bring instructors to our school and our kids can take college courses and transportation is no longer a barrier. That is a big deal for me. That's a big deal for us in our community. And we're going to continue to grow that program so that there's not a student in Dawson County that wants to participate in a dual enrollment course that can't do that. So that's a barrier we're knocking down. But we also want to make sure that we maintain a healthy AP opportunity, group of opportunities for our kids. In advanced placement courses, it's advanced content, and at the end of the course, the student has to take an AP test. If they score 3 or higher on that test, it's a 1 to 5 scale. If they score 3, 4, or 5, most colleges in Georgia, most universities in Georgia, will award credit, college credit for that class, but there's some that do not. Georgia Tech does not. So there's some that don't. If you do the dual enrollment and you keep that in the area of your core classes, almost every university, because there's articulation agreements between the universities, almost all of them will accept those credits. So to me, it should not be the role of the school district to tell you as a parent which one of those is best for your child. The role of the school system should be these are the options that you have. You as a parent with your child should make the best decision for your child. So we want opportunities for your kids. But what's our ultimate goal in the school business? Everybody has and I call it school business for a reason, because if we can operate more like a business and we can be efficient and we can produce the appropriate products, good citizens, educated citizens are products, right? That's good for us in Dawson County. But we have graduation as our ultimate goal. We want to graduate every student in Dawson County, whether it's medically fragile, whether it's a special education student that struggles with reading. No matter what their disabilities are, we want to meet their needs. If it's the highest performing students in our building, we want to get them ready for their next level. So what is it that we're trying to do? Because we know the negative impacts of dropping out of high school, right? Limited employment, low wages, poverty. You want to continue the cycle of generational poverty in our community, you let our kids drop out of school. We will never break those chains. We got to get them graduated. So that's our goal. Graduation for all. Preparation for post-secondary options. There are 3 options in this world for every child that walked that stage a couple of weeks ago with the class of 2020. They're either going to get a job, hopefully, or they're going to go get some training to get a job, or they're going to go get a college education to get a job. I told them, if you can't figure out what you want to do, get a job. It helps clarify everything else, right? It does. It brings things into perspective. But we want to produce good citizens. We want people to grow up, get a great job, raise families right here in Dawson County, be productive right here at home. And we think that's possible. But this is an important slide. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about it because we're proud of it, and you should be proud of it. 2014, we had an 85% graduation rate in Dawson County. That meant 15 out of every 100 kids that graduate, 15 out of every 100 kids did not graduate from high school on time. And I said, that's not good enough. We're not going to accept that. So we started doing work, and we started paying attention. We started putting some interventions in place to make sure that we had appropriate things in place for our kids to meet their needs no matter where they were, so that we could stop being okay with a 15% non-graduation rate, dropout rate, okay? I'm very proud to say that over the last 5 years, we've had a graduation rate average of 96%. In a couple of months, it'll be released, we're going to be somewhere in the 97% range for the class of 2020. Now let me tell you from a data standpoint what that means. If 12% more of the kids graduated from high school this year than in 2014, and we graduated 250 kids, how many graduated this year that would not have graduated 6 years ago? 30. We graduated 30 more kids this year than we did in 2014. That's 30 more kids that have an opportunity for a better life. Higher wages, less poverty, more opportunities. That's 30 kids a year. So if we can do that for 10 years, how many families have we impacted positively in Dawson County? That's the questions we have to ask ourselves, right? So what is it that we're doing? Why do we do the things that we do? Because we're trying to meet the needs of the children in our community. So that data right there, we're very proud of. It's one of the highest graduation rates over a 5-year period in the entire state of Georgia. Okay, we're very proud of it. Okay, I'm going to talk about money. Nobody likes to talk about money. But I'm going to talk about money real quick. And I'm going to go through quickly, and I'll answer any questions that you have at the end. But in a nutshell, we took a $2.4 million hit to our budget from state funding this year. We anticipated that. We were actually told it was going to be more. We were told expect 14%, 14%, 14%. It landed on 10%. The local fair share, which I don't want to go into detail because you will fall asleep on me. We also lost another $570,000 on that. That's impacted because of because our local digest has been going up, and 2 years ago it went up a lot because of the reassessment. The local fair share is on a 2-year lag. So the state of Georgia says that every system has to pay their local fair share, and they equate that to 5 mills of their property taxes. So we saw that 568 is not the total they keep. They keep over $7 million every year of what we earn. That's just the addition to what they keep this year. So $2.4 million cut to our state revenue. We will see if we keep a 15.778 millage rate. Let me say that one more time. If we keep a 15.778 millage rate, which we've had for 5 years, we will earn another $880,000 in local revenue. Some other local funding, the TABT and some other things, will increase $457,000 in our budget from what we're projecting. So those are revenue numbers. But let me tell you what we've had to do, because we couldn't make it, y'all. We couldn't continue to do what we've been doing. Anytime a business takes that kind of cut in revenue, what do you also have to cut? Your expenses. We cut 22 positions from the school system this year. Mine's 523 this year. So almost all of those were through retirements and folks moving with their spouses to other areas and leaving. But we took hits that are very difficult. And the question that you should ask is, well, how many of those are teachers that are touching our kids each and every day? And the answer to that question is, based on the cuts, not a single one of those were classroom teachers. They were all support positions. We did reduce a couple of teaching positions because we had a couple of areas in our school system that the class numbers were so low that it just wasn't financially reasonable to maintain those levels. But that was done before this. So based on this, we reduced media clerks. So now we have one person in the media center instead of 2. We can function there. We lost maintenance staff. We lost transportation staff. We lost district office staff. So we have a lot of support positions. And let me ask you, let me tell you, not one bit of the work that they did doesn't have to be done. So I've taken 22 positions worth of work, and we divvied those things out to other people to be more efficient so that we can continue to serve our kids and not take away any opportunity that we have put in place for them. So we're running much leaner today than we have fewer employees today than when I got here 6 years ago. So we're going to end up having to still use $707,000 of our ending fund balance to balance our budget, which leaves us at about $6 million. Which puts us right at 12%, which is in line with what we need to make it. But again, $2.4 million in state funding cuts to 22 positions. This gives you, and we also cut 10% of every director's budget across the district. So all of our operational budgets have been cut as well. I will make a note that we did receive $418,000 in CARES Act funding. It's a one-time shot in the arm from the federal government that helps offset the losses. But that's a one-time thing. We're not sure that the other cuts. We know the local fair share will be sustaining. We're not sure about our state funding. But here's our ad valorem information for all you property owners here in Dawson County. The total gross digest is $1.88 billion. There are $360 million worth of those properties that are exempt from school tax. So our Net digest is $1.52 billion. Our school millage at 15.778 will generate 23.984. There's a collection fee and a 4% allowance for uncollected. We anticipated when we put together the budget that in a very difficult financial year that there may be more people that can't pay their property taxes. So to be on the safe side, we're projecting that a little bit lower. Nicole and her group have done a phenomenal job of collecting taxes for years and are always in the 98, 99+% range. This is not an indication that she can't do her job. This is more about the financial possibilities than anything else. So, but we're expecting that $22.5 million in local funds. We like to talk about millage rates. So let's talk about millage rates. Our millage rate is 15.778. Unless something drastic happens next Tuesday night after our final millage rate hearing, the recommendation I'll make to the Board of Education will be to have a 15.778 millage rate for next year to continue that trend. But these are millage rates for districts that touch us. So if you don't know, the max that you can levy as a school system is 20 mills. And you can actually go over 20 mills if you have a bond, and you can actually put a millage rate in place to pay the bond as well. Forsyth County actually includes their bond, so and people say, well, what's the benefit financially of moving up here from Forsyth County? Because a lot of my neighbors have come from Forsyth County, so our millage rate's 4 mills lower. And our property values, I don't think, are in the same line. So there's definitely some advantages there, but that's our millage rate, that's where we stand, and we don't know what everybody else is doing because we actually got our budget done a little earlier. Most districts right now are just finalizing their budgets, and we're about to finalize our millage rate, so we're a little ahead on the timeline, and everybody's timeline's a little bit off simply because of the economy and the pandemic. But again, let's talk about millage rates. In 2014, our millage rate was 17.246. One of the first things I had to do as superintendent, the budget was already approved when I got here, but the first thing I had to do was ask the board to approve a millage rate, and we dropped that 17.246 down to 16.496. The next year, the economy was going good, the property values were going up, and we dropped that millage rate again to 15.778. So the best I can calculate is we dropped the millage rate 2 times in 2 years. I'm not sure how else you can look at it, but I know looking at it visually, it looks like it's been dropped twice in 2 years. So again, from 2016 on, it's been 15.778. We've heard people talk about that rate changing over the last 5 years, but it has not. Now, but in all sincerity, let's talk about the millage rate, because one of the things that we have to do is we want to be transparent. When we are raising revenue $880,000 locally, that is a tax increase. Let's just call it what it is. That is a revenue increase. But that is not a tax increase on every homeowner. Let's make sure, I want to be clear with that. Because we have new properties being developed, residentially and commercially. If they come on the digest, that is an increase in revenue, correct? So, what I want to be clear of is, because there was just some misinformation floating around on that wonderful social media site that's local. And I'm not going to name it because I don't want to do it, but don't try me, I'm not. But it said everybody's taxes are going up, and that's not true. And I will tell you, I'm a homeowner, and I pay attention to this just like you do. If your house was worth $250,000 last year, and it's worth $250,000 this year, your taxes will not change. And the school system has no impact on the value of your property. Now, I just sold a home. And I've got to tell you, I know what I paid for the home. I know what the county told me I had to pay taxes on, which was more than I paid for the home. But also, and I wasn't real happy about that sometimes, but I know what I sold my home for, and I was pretty happy with it. So everybody wants their property to increase in value, right? Nobody wants to pay tax on that value. So I get it, I'm a homeowner. Just like a payment, but I get it. But 15.778, that's the last time I'm going to say. So let's talk about COVID-19 real quick. I just made some bullet points because the theme of this piece of the conversation should really be, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know what. We're planners. In the education world, I can tell you that after Thanksgiving, my focus is on the next school year. Right now, I can't focus on next week because we're having to react. Even though we've done a tremendous amount of planning, we're having to react to situations that we've never dealt with before. So, what I can tell you on March the 12th, 2020, it'll be a day in my career. When I retire one of these days, it'll be a day I never forget. Because it was an early release day, we had a chamber lunch that day. And I had a conversation with one of our students, and she said, Dr. Gibbs, are you going to cancel school? And I said, no, we're not canceling school for the virus. Are you kidding me? She said, we have prom coming up, we have this. I said, don't you worry about it. We never came back to school. She made a lot out of me. I publicly apologized to her at graduation because I literally told her something that was not true. So never say never. But I can tell you that we had an inclement weather plan in place. You guys know that Christy referenced that the one-to-one initiative that we put in place. We issue an iPad to every child in our district. We have a learning management system called Schoology that we can operate through and assign work to all our students. We had a really good plan for a snow day or two. We did not have a really good plan for weeks' worth of not being in school. And then realistically, for several weeks, we weren't sure, are we going back, are we not going back, are we going back? So we had to really dodge and weave, and our teachers did a great job. They did the best they could do. But I got to tell you, there's never been a more appreciation for teachers than there are after people homeschool their kids for 6 or 8 weeks. So that's a lot of work. I couldn't do it. I'm an educator. I couldn't homeschool my kids. But we did feed our community. We're very proud of that. Over 200,000 meals in that 8 or 9 week period. We've been navigating school year options, anticipating funding cuts. You know, there's so many things that we just didn't know. But one of the things I've always been a believer in leadership, you guys are business people, and you'll appreciate this. There's two kind of leaders in my opinion. There's those that lead from the front, and they head in a direction, and you know you're leading and people are following you. And there's people that lead from the back, and they're trying to push their people in a direction. And I've just chosen to lead from the front. And our team in Dawson County, our 523 folks, have been right behind us, helping navigate that course and make decisions and serve our children. And I got to tell you, I couldn't be more proud of the work that we've done. But I got to tell you, there's less funding for K-12 education in Georgia. Thank goodness the state of Georgia has to balance their budget. As difficult as it is for us sometimes, I'm just thankful that we can't just go borrow a bunch of money in the state and put our state in debt to fund the things that need to be funded. So I'm thankful for that, and we'll make adjustments. We're going to do whatever we've got to do to continue to meet the needs of our kids. But with enrollment growth, we got more kids and less people. Less money, less people, more kids. We're going to make it work. We actually, not only do we have those factors in place, but we're also offering 2 formats to our kids. We have 12 children. I mean, we got to allocate staff. We got to take staff out of their regular allocation, pull them over, put them on virtual learning. We've got kids coming in, we got kids going out. It's a very difficult environment right now, and we could have just, and we said we're going to put a limit on this, we'll stop this at this date. And my team came to me and they said, we got people wanting to go to virtual, we got virtual kids wanting to come back. And I said, do everything we can to meet the needs of these parents. And they said, but we had a date. It's killing us. And I said, yeah, but here's the problem. If we can make it work and we don't, it's a disservice to our community. So we're continuing to do everything we can to adjust because people, quite frankly, are scared to death. And they don't know what to do. And we don't know necessarily everything to do. So we're trying to be flexible. And again, we're going to do whatever it takes to meet their needs. Before I get to this, I'm going to tell you a real world example, and this happened yesterday, and then I'll take some questions. Yesterday, we got 2 positive COVID cases confirmed in our district. And it took a collective, we figured it up It took a collective 40 man-hours to deal with those two cases yesterday. And the reason is the Department of Public Health is doing the contact tracing. But guess who they rely on to do all of the legwork for the contact tracing when it happens in our buildings? And it's not a complaint, it's just a fact. They need to know who these children have been in contact with. So we are having to do that. I don't have staff allocated to do that. I had 2 administrative teams completely locked down yesterday working on contact tracing. So out of those 2 cases, at the end of the day, almost 75 kids have been quarantined because they were considered to be in close contact. And there's really strong opinions on the mask issue, and I'm not going to delve too deep into the mask issue because I can tell you that we can all agree or disagree and still like each other on those things, and I think the mask thing is one of those. But ultimately, when we asked the question yesterday, if the positively identified children have on a mask, does that negate the need to quarantine the other kids in the classroom? And they said, absolutely not. It does not matter if they have on a mask. So my question is, why are we asking them to wear masks if they come in the building sick with a mask? It's supposed to stop the spread, right? We've been told, stop the spread. I'm not advocating one way or the other. I'm asking a question. Why would we mandate a mask under those circumstances? The other side of that is, it's the responsible thing to do. Well, let me ask you this. Has anybody been in Walmart lately? Because I went in Walmart this weekend. I went by a guy that made me have a mask on to go in Walmart. I get in Walmart, there's probably 40 people in Walmart without a mask on. So it's a requirement, correct? Have you been in any other stores where it's a requirement when you go in, they don't have a mask on? Well, where are the mask police? We need mask police. And I say it to say this. If I tell people to do something in our school district, it's my expectation that they do it. So when we mandate something, I've got to allocate staff to ensure that it's done. Can we do that? Absolutely. Are we doing that today? No. We are encouraging the use of masks. We're highly encouraging the wearing of masks. I'm wearing a mask in our buildings as an example to those in our building. I don't know what it does to stop or slow the spread, but I'm willing to do my part. But we've come short of a mandate because we're following the lead of the leadership in our state. The governor, we're right in line with where he is on his recommendations. There are school systems across the state of Georgia that are doing drastically different things with this. And it's not a criticism of any of them. But I can tell you that we may do a mask mandate. We could do it tomorrow, we could do it in 2 weeks, we don't know. Because we don't know where the data is going to take us. We know that there were 127 active COVID cases on last Friday. I get a report every Friday. 127 active cases and 25,000 people in the community. I'm not sure where we need to go with that, but we are taking leadership from those that do understand more about it and are encouraging highly the wearing of masks in our schools. But we are not, at this time, putting in place a mask mandate. So, with that said, you may not agree with that, I'm okay with that. And we can talk about that in private if you want to come see me or give me a call. But at this time, people always say, how can we get involved in the school system? We want to help our businesses. We've got people that are grandparents and they don't have children in the school system anymore. We have a wonderful mentoring program. There's information available on our website. Our kids need good mentors in their lives. If you want to get involved and help children in our community, please go on our website and get information about our mentoring program. We'd love to have you. So, with that said, I'll take any questions that you have.
Did you want the mentors to come in now during this time?
We push policy around, Shawnee, thank you for that. I mean, we're signing people up and we're getting them. We have mentors that have relationships with our kids that are communicating in different ways. But we just paused currently until we can get a better grip. We don't have any non-essential visitors in our buildings today.
And then about the clubs at the high school?
Our school-based clubs are still, they're working out a club schedule right now, but again, we're trying to limit interactions with kids that don't have to be together. If you hear somebody say that you should leave a group of kids in the same classroom and move the teachers around, they don't know much about education. You cannot do that. It's impossible. Our kids don't have the same classes with everybody else. There's kids that they go to a variety of courses through the College and Career Academy, through our vocational programs there, through the gym, through weight training. There's just you just can't move teachers around, especially in 6, 12, and 5. You have to move kids. Any questions?
We didn't talk about it this morning, so let's hear about sports.
Sports. I love sports. Quite honestly, we don't know where that's headed. I can tell you that we're basing our decisions on, actually not basing the decisions on guidance. We're given directives from the Georgia High School Association. So we're waiting on them now as the college football or college sports starts to weave and move in their decisions. It will probably impact high school sports, and I know Park and Rec's waiting to hear about high school sports. So I can tell you that we're taking those directives from the Georgia High School Association, and they did cancel all of our scrimmages already, but they have not made a decision on our other sports at this time.
Damon, in the past, you talked about the capacity of the school system, and that's a concern that a lot of people voice again on social media. But can you speak factually to where you're at in the capacity for looking forward to the next several years in the community?
It's a great question, and I know that when folks want to annex property and build homes, there tends to be an outcry. I've actually had a couple people call me and argue with me about our schools not having capacity. I'm not sure why they don't do that, but I can tell you, here are facts. We have 3,740 kids total, 12% of which are online right now, so that lowers the number in our buildings. But we have capacity for over 5,500. We're the only school system in Georgia that has equal classrooms in every single school that we have. We don't have a single portable classroom anywhere. It is a unique environment in Dawson County, and we have ample space in every single one of our schools. There's not a specific area of the county that I would, if Chris called me tomorrow and said, these folks want to build a subdivision here, can we handle that in the school system? There's not a single one of those questions that I would say no. Okay, so we have capacity. We're ready to go. Any other questions?
No, the virtual kids are at home. They're just basically with their parents and their...
Yeah, virtual and homeschool are two different things. Homeschool is a completely independent, parent handles completely themselves. Our virtual students that are through our school system, we issue them a school issue iPad, and we have a teacher allocated to them, but it is pretty intense on the parent side. It's not the same as they saw back in the spring when we were trying to make do. We have a very stringent program. We actually have some parents that have said, I can't do this, I'm bringing my kids back to school. Already. We're in day 5. Any other questions? Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your support.
All right, well, I will say, now I've heard about social media from multiple local leaders. If y'all can't tell, I think we're all trying to keep a very positive attitude, but I think we're a little tired. And so I think we saw it as a challenge. I know the majority of you in this room very well, and I'm going to make an assumption about the rest of y'all. You've heard facts today. We try, anytime I make a presentation, I know anytime our commissioners or school boards make presentations of the facts, I call Nicole out anytime she has some of the best numbers in the state. I have to reiterate what Damon said. Those are facts. Don't forget, she does not set your property tax. That is not her fault. I'm just going to bring that up. I think maybe we all need to collectively start a property tax school, because it is clear, and all you can say, but Focus on Dawson might be both one of the best things for our community in terms of trying to get a positive word out, but also one of the worst things that's ever happened in this community, know factually incorrect, please say something. You know, they use, if you see something, say something for safety. If you see something that's factually incorrect, please say something, because I know it's happened to Damon, I know it's happened to Chris and our school board members, that people have called and been unbelievably upset about things that they didn't even need to be upset about because it's not even true. And I hate seeing that because it happens all the time. Anything from zoning changes to what we're going to do with the city to what we're going to do with the schools, we all hear it. And so that's my challenge to all of us, that when we do see something, that we do say something, because I think it could be better for our community to get the facts out there. But I know we all feel how grateful we are that we do live in a community that really loves and supports each other the way that Troy prayed in his prayer this morning. I think we are all so grateful that we have that, and we in particular are so grateful that you support our chamber, and we hope that we have been supportive to you during this time. If you see anything that you need from us, we hope you'll communicate that with us. But I want to reiterate how grateful we are to the school system for their leadership, and that the business community has your back. So whatever you need, that's what we're here for. But in celebration of Dr. Gibbs' birthday,